Today I'm going to be teaching you about Azon Video Vault. Specifically, I'm going to be giving you some information about the coffee industry, my recommendations for targeting this niche, and then I'm also going to go on to show you a special tactic for generating some support content for your website that you build with the videos from Azon Video Vault. First of all, I want to give you an overview of the actual product itself. Within Azon Video Vault, you'll see the little menu bar across the top of the site once you have logged into your account. Under the Vault, you're going to find all the different videos that are available for you. You also have the bonuses link, which is important. You have a lot of extra training and software that is available for you there. Most of that bonus material that is on that particular page, it is products that have been provided by affiliates that have promoted Azon Video Vault. So a lot of times you will have to provide an email address to actually obtain those products. So you may want to provide an email address that you wouldn't mind receiving potentially a lot of promotional emails on when you're signing up for all of those bonuses. That way maybe you won't get flooded to your normal email address with all of that stuff from picking up that extra training and software. There is some really useful stuff in there, so I would highly recommend it. Now you also have the upgrades page. If you did not pick up the upsells that were available for Azon Video Vault, you can go back to this upgrades page and get access to these. One of them is an additional package of 60 videos, and I have an extra special bonus for that where I've gone through and researched those actual products to pull out the Amazon links for you and the prices and review ratings, so you can quickly determine which videos you want to use instead of having to spend hours doing that research. Now, the VIP program will also allow you to get ongoing access to new videos. It actually provides you with 60 new videos every month. So if you really like these videos and enjoy what they can do for your websites and your ventures as an Amazon affiliate, then I would definitely recommend to check out that VIP program. Now once you are in the vault, you're going to see this little menu over on the left hand side. There may be some other links in addition to this, but this is really the part you want to focus on. Depending on what you have purchased, you may or may not see all of these available for you. The normal product for Azon Video Vault is right here, Coffee Pro 20-pack. These are the 20 videos, and actually it is 25 videos that you get access to there. If you did not purchase the full main product, if you purchased the downsell for it that was only 10 videos, that would be the Coffee Light 10-pack. So if you already have the 20-pack, don't worry about not having access to this 10-pack if you don't see it, because it does contain 10 of the same videos that you are receiving in this Pro bundle. There's simply more in this bundle here. So then the extra 60 package of videos upsell that I was talking to you about, that is the Coffee Silver 60 pack right here. So if you have not gotten access to those, you can go through this upgrades link to get those. Now you also have a really good in-depth training guide on video marketing. That is the Ultimate Video Blueprint. It's almost a 80-page ebook or so that will teach you a lot of really useful video marketing strategies. So I would definitely recommend to go through that to see what else the developer of these videos would recommend for you to do in addition to this extra stuff that I am teaching you guys here. So now I want to go on and talk to you about some of my general usage recommendations for the videos that are in this package, and also in terms of targeting the coffee niche with whatever kind of website you are going to build with these videos. First of all, you want to choose a specific sub-niche or even an individual product to target, and then build an entire website that is centered around that selection. This is something that I recommend to do with basically any niche that you might go after, not just the coffee niche. So you're not just going to want to build a website all about coffee, because there's so much possible information that you could put on that kind of a website that it is not feasible for you as one person to build that whole website in any reasonable amount of time. And ultimately, you may need to be the authority website on a particular topic to get good search rankings for it. What I'm talking about being an authority on a certain topic is, think of all the possible topics that could come up having to do with coffee. You have all different kinds of coffee. You have talk about where they come from. You might have TV shows relational to coffee. You have stores that are selling coffee. You have different coffee shops. You have different coffee machines. You have different accessories that go along with those coffee machines. So, you can't really feasibly decide to build a website about all of that. You want to figure out what small area of all of that information you want to target, and think of it in terms of, what could I possibly do in the way of covering all of the possible topics of this subject? Is it feasible for me to do it with my subject selection? And if it seems like it's going to be too much, narrow down your focus more until you get to the point where it feels like it is a reasonable amount of work for you to accomplish. That way, it's a reasonable amount of work for you to try to put yourself in an authority position for that niche or sub-niche. So if your competition is too high, narrow down your niche. I like to recommend to use specific needs, purposes, or skill levels, because pretty much any kind of sub-niche can be divided up that way. Think of it in terms like this. You have a niche like coffee makers, but one coffee maker isn't ideal for every single person. You have different needs out of a coffee maker depending on what you do, where you work in terms of whether you're working away from your home or not, whether you are looking to make coffee in your house or whether you're looking to make coffee in your office for all of your employees to use. There's all of these different needs and purposes, and you even have the skill level thing with the coffee niche too. You have people that are just your average coffee drinkers. They don't mind pulling out some freeze-dried Folgers coffee and brewing it up, and that is completely satisfying for them. But then you have other coffee drinkers that are absolutely disgusted at the thought of drinking instant coffee. They want fresh ground, high-quality beans that are having different kinds of exquisite tastes and varieties and you have a completely different separation there in your consumers in terms of just that skill level. So think about all this different stuff when you are trying to figure out a niche that you can target, and focus on something really specific instead of trying to cover everything. You'll be much more likely to draw in traffic from search engine keywords relating to what you're doing, and once you get people to your site, they're going to be a lot more engaged with your content. So my last point here, you want to combine the videos from the Azon Video Vault with your own unique content to make a complete website. Do not solely rely upon the videos to do all of the work for you. If you just make a website with these videos, or if you just slap the videos up on a video hosting service, you're ultimately not going to make anything from this venture. You need to put a little bit of work into it and come up with something that's actually going to be unique and useful for the people that visit your sites. Now that also brings me to the videos and how you go about using them. This can be something that catches a lot of people off guard the first time they go to try to purchase one of these video packages, where you're not the only one getting access to these videos. Unless you are actually getting exclusive rights to videos, whether you have made them yourself or whether you have paid for somebody else to create them for you, you're not going to be able to upload them to something like a YouTube channel, because they have rules when it comes to uploading videos, and they don't want the same video uploaded by multiple users or even by the same user. You can't take the same video and upload it twice, even on your own account. So you definitely can't do it with different accounts. So what you have to do is either upload the videos to your own web server and then just use simple HTML code to display those videos on your web pages. If you don't know how to do this, simply go to Google and just type in HTML code show video or display video or play video. Any of those types of searches should yield you with simple code that you can use for this particular purpose. Now, if you are not on a web server that would be able to handle this video hosting, you may need to use a hosting provider for those videos. YouTube or Vimeo typically is something that you can use for that purpose. However, it's not going to work with these videos. You could try something like dailymotion.com. They will actually allow for the same video to be uploaded twice by different users. So you could upload your videos over there and still embed them into your website and not actually pay for the hosting and streaming of those videos. So I want to get into some more specifics here about my targeting recommendations for the coffee niche. You have a lot of different main sub-niches within the coffee industry, things that I've already discussed with you previously. But then you also have those different groups of customers within these niches. I briefly mentioned this before as well, and I'll get into talking some more specifics on this in just a few here. In general, I recommend targeting a single sub-niche and a specific group of consumers for that sub-niche to help reduce the competition. So this might be your average home coffee drinkers, and maybe you're targeting a very specific type of coffee maker. Maybe you're targeting percolators, people that want to use one for when they go camping, for example. That's a highly focused sub-niche to select. you're not targeting coffee. You're targeting average home coffee drinkers that are looking to brew coffee when they're out camping. You're not going to have a lot of other affiliates that are coming up with a niche quite like that, because you have so many different combinations there that it simply reduces the competition for anything that you pick drastically when you are narrowing down your focus like that. So make sure you're doing the same type of thing with your own niche. You may also target the industry using information. This could be geared most likely towards the more sophisticated coffee drinkers that I had mentioned to you previously. Doing something like that, if you're going after maybe coffee industry news, talking about new beans that are being discovered and sources where people can get these different types of varieties that they are looking for, these rare types of coffees, you could definitely end up covering products from multiple sub-niches like that. You might be promoting the actual coffee beans being sold. You might be promoting special kinds of grinders, special kinds of brewers that would be used along with that type of a coffee drinker. So there are some situations where you may be going after multiple sub-niches of products, but ultimately your website is still centered around one single idea, one main topic. And in this case, that would be that information geared towards those sophisticated coffee drinkers. Your topic wouldn't be those multiple sub-niches that you are covering in that situation. So no matter how you go about targeting it, you should still have something that is highly focused about your site if you want to have a decent shot at getting search rankings for it. So consider what products you want to target first, and then think about how you could create an organized site on that specific topic that would be able to target those products. If you have a particular topic in mind already, let's say maybe you're an avid coffee drinker and you have a lot of information and knowledge already in your head about, one very particular type of coffee or one part of the niche or something. By all means, start based on that idea and figure out what kind of products you can target. But for most people that may not have an idea of what they want their niche to really be, they might be better off thinking about the products that they want to target first and kind of working backwards. So I want to continue on now with a little more information about my targeting recommendations. I was talking to you previously about the different consumer groups that you have in the coffee industry. You have your average home coffee drinker. These people will not be picky about the actual coffee itself. They are probably more interested in convenience. They will be looking for things like programmable coffee brewers, things that they can set up the night before, and when they wake up in the morning, there will be a fresh cup of coffee sitting there waiting for them, and they might take a travel mug with them to bring it to work with them. Some of them might also be interested in the single-serve machines, like the new K-Cups that kind of became a big fad. You then have your more sophisticated coffee drinkers. Something that I've talked about a couple of times here already. These guys are going to be looking for the specialty beans. So they would be more likely to be sold some kind of expensive coffee that is available on Amazon through some type of specialty source. They're also going to be more likely to want some kind of specialty brewer, something more high quality that's going to deliver that in taste for them. And they're almost definitely going to want a grinder to be able to grind their own beans fresh. So you might be able to kind of start to get the picture here of, depending on what consumer group you're really going after, you're going to have different products that you would want to promote to them, because if you're just promoting everything to one of those groups, you're going to have a lot of wasted work there. And in fact, you might have people get disinterested in what you're offering and leave simply because they can't find what it is they're looking for. So focus on what you know they're actually going to want. Your next type of consumer group, the business owners and potentially management of those businesses. These are going to be people that are buying for commercial purposes. This could be a restaurant, it could be an office, it could be simply any kind of business that has a customer that comes through the door, and maybe they just want to have coffee always sitting there available to be able to offer them. These types of decision makers for these companies are the people that you want to target if you want to be able to refer these sales to them. Think about what their needs are going to be. A lot of times it's going to be based off of the volume of coffee that they need and how quickly they might need it. For example, a restaurant that serves breakfast is going to need something that can churn out the coffee like crazy. Whereas a tax company that simply has a pot of coffee over in the corner for you if you would like a cup, they're not going to need something that can spit out tons of coffee. They just need something that can brew it possibly automatically for them and keep it warm for them. So don't try to target all commercial businesses like this. Try to narrow your focus down if you go after this particular consumer group, and narrow it down even more. Go after one specific type of business. Go after your restaurant small business owner. You know, you're not going to have these chain restaurants that are out looking for information on Amazon to try to purchase these products. But you will have your mom and pop restaurant owners that might need to get a new coffee brewer, or maybe they're starting up a restaurant and they need to order one, and they might be doing a lot of their ordering online trying to save some money. So think about who you're trying to go after, and again, make sure you are keeping that focus as narrow as possible. So the next thing I want to discuss are the types of coffee machines. This is important to know to help you get a basic understanding of this niche, because ultimately a lot of these types of coffee machines are the main products that you're going to be promoting on these websites. These are your high dollar value products, and not only that, but these are the products that are covered in the Azon Video Vault review videos. So you have the automatic drip coffee machine. These are probably your most common kind, at least up until the whole K-cup craze came along. It's the standard type of coffee maker. When you think of a coffee maker and picture one in your head, you're probably thinking of an automatic drip maker. You have a filter that holds the coffee, hot water drips over it, and it drips down below, often into the carafe directly. You then have the pod and capsule types. Some of these are older, where you have a larger filter that's already pre-sealed and pre-packaged with coffee. And then you have the newer designs like the K-cups, where you have the coffee pre-packaged in a little single-serve cup, and you put it in the machine and it pierces it and it brews 1 cup of coffee for you. You then have percolators, often used on stoves or when camping. You can put it on top of a fire, for example, and the boiled water will push up through a tube, drip down over the coffee with a filter in it, and it's essentially kind of an automatic drip maker, except it's not a machine. It doesn't use electricity. So that is one of the appealing things about a percolator. You then have a pump espresso maker. These are temperature controlled and pressurized brewing systems. And a lot of them have attachments for steaming milk, which is great for making lattes or cappuccinos, or even putting froth on top of hot chocolate, for example. This gets into a little more of your expensive range in terms of the coffee machines. You do have some cheaper espresso makers, but your really decent ones get pretty pricey. And then you have your full-blown coffee machine, what's often referred to as a bean-to-cup machine. And this does everything. You put the beans in, it holds them, and then it grinds and brews the coffee as needed. And a lot of these are essentially completely automated. However, they're pretty expensive. Your average home user is not going to end up going after one of these. You might have some that do, but most of them will not because of the cost. And you also have to think about it in terms of the amount of coffee that it's brewing. Unless people are having a lot of guests over, they'd probably never have the need for the amount of coffee that one of these larger bean-to-cup machines will produce. So think about the different types of coffee machines in relation to what you want to target, and think about what will work best for them and what types might you want to completely avoid for them. Doing this, you can really help to boost your conversion rates. A lot of it is just about product selection and properly matching those products to the intended niche that you are going after. I'm going to continue on here and talk about accessories now. There's just a couple of accessories that I want to mention, but these are still important and things that you should be considering when you are building your site. Don't just build a coffee site with useful information and ads for coffee makers. You're going to have other things that people need in addition to the coffee makers and in addition to the obvious coffee bean itself. Things like milk frothers. If you don't have a full espresso machine, you can get a milk frother to steam that milk, and this will help you to make the lattes or the frothy hot chocolate that I was mentioning before. This is something that's pretty popular for mostly home users that don't need the full-blown machine, but they still want to have that option available to them. You then have coffee grinders. I mentioned this a couple times already too. This is really important. Unless you have a machine that is going to grind the coffee for you, or unless you are one of the coffee drinkers that is not picky about drinking coffee that was ground ahead of time, then you're probably going to need a coffee grinder. So make sure you are considering this when you're setting up your site, and promote a relevant coffee grinder to your audience. You also have some more simple things, but these should still not be discounted because they are important, and the cost on some of them can really add up, especially this next one, coffee filters. Most coffee makers utilize some kind of filter in one way or another. Some of them are permanent that you simply might wash out every now and again. A lot of them, though, are disposable. So you will have to purchase new filters over and over again throughout the life of your machine. So consider this when you're promoting different machines. Figure out what kinds of filters match up with that machine and make sure you're promoting those filters too. If nothing else, you might end up with traffic coming to those pages that already own the machine, and maybe they're just looking for new filters. Maybe they don't want to go out to the store and buy them. Maybe they want to buy them in a larger quantity to try to save some money. There are a lot of cases where you may simply be able to refer sales on the filters alone, even if you can't sell a machine. You then have some more simple accessories, and I'll just give you one example, probably the most common one, travel mugs. And some of them can get into the pricey side, especially ones that are designed to keep a cup of coffee hot for a much longer period of time. A lot of people are looking to save money when they are brewing their own coffee at home. They don't want to have to stop at Starbucks on their way out to work. So they brew their coffee at home before they go, put it in a travel mug, and bring it along for the ride. You can target these people as a sub-niche. Target the average worker who wants to save money on their daily cup of coffee. So the last thing I would like to do here is give you a bit of a hands-on tutorial on a simple but effective way that you can expand the content of your website without having to kill yourself doing a ton of writing. And this will also help with future updating on autopilot. Now, before I get into this, I want to be clear that I do not recommend completely creating a website in this manner. What I'm going to be doing is essentially curating content from another website onto my own website. However, I want to make sure that I still have my own base content on that site that is going to be used in addition to this. So this would just be, like I said before, supporting content for my main content. So go through your normal niche targeting and figure out what pages you want to create on your website that are going to make for a full useful site. Create that entire website, and then you can go through and add some extra content to your site using this tactic that I'm going to show you here. So with that said, I am in WordPress here. I'm going to go to Plugins and Add New, and I'm going to get a free plugin called RSS Post Importer. simply search for this particular plugin, install it on your site. You can see it right here, RSS Post Importer. And you can also see that I already have this installed on my site. So I don't actually have to go through this particular process here, but I wanted to show you how to go about getting this, just in case you're not aware of how to search for these free WordPress plugins that are available. So install and activate this particular plugin, RSS Post Importer. Once you have that done, then you can proceed to the next step. This next step is to go into the settings bar. Go to Settings and go to RSS Post Importer in the menu. This is going to take us to the settings page for this particular plugin. And what this is going to allow us to do is to specify exactly what we want to be doing in terms of importing content to our site. Now, I actually already have something set up here called Coffee News. I'm going to walk you through how I got this set up and show it to you in action. Now, first of all, what I've done here is gotten a feed off of another coffee-related website. What you can do to find a coffee site that is well respected by Google, so you know it's going to have some excellent unique content, is just to go on Google itself and search for a coffee-related keyword phrase, something that is going to bring up the type of content that you are looking for. So this site here, coffeereview.com, the world's leading coffee guide, it's actually a really nice site. And what you can do on a lot of sites, you have this little feed button right here. And it goes to coffeereview.com/feed. Well, even if you don't see this little feed button, you can a lot of times just find out if a website has a feed or not by simply typing in feed with a / on the end of it. So I have coffeereview.com/feed/. Going to this page, hold on, I opened it in another window here. Going to this page, coffeereview.com/feed, it then opens up this information on recent posts that have been posted on this particular site. So when I can find a website like this that has a feed and it has relational content that I know is well respected by Google, then I can use this as a potential option. So I'm going to copy the complete URL here of this feed. And this is actually what's going to go in as my feed URL, as you can see here. So you can use this exact one, coffeereview.com/feed, or you can go out there and try to find your own, something that is more relational to the focus sub-niche that you decide to pick. So there are a couple of steps involved with getting this whole thing set up. The first thing that you want to do is actually go over to the post menu and you want to create a new category. So I'm going to open this up here in another window so I can show you exactly how this is done. Now, I already have this category here that I created for this purpose, and I called it Coffee News. So what I did was I just went over here and I just typed in Coffee News and clicked on Add New Category. It's really that simple. Just create a category and give it a name relating to what this section of your website would be about. So if you're pulling information from an informational coffee site, kind of like I have done, then coffee news seems pretty fitting for it. If something else is more fitting, feel free to use a different category name though. So once you have your category created, then you can set that category in this RSS post importer. If you already had this window opened up before you created the category, you may need to simply revisit this page or refresh it like this just to ensure that that category will actually be showing up as an option here. So first of all, we have a couple of main settings for this plugin. These are down below here. We can decide how often we want to check this feed for new content. In a lot of cases, once a day should be plenty. You can also try to change around the template as far as how this will get formatted. If you don't want this little source information down at the bottom, you can decide to remove that and just have the content there. You then have your post status. If you want these to automatically get published for you, just set it to published. Otherwise, you can possibly have it set to draft, where you're actually going to have to go in and review it and publish it before it ends up live on your site. You can automatically set an author, decide whether you want comments to be enabled or disabled. So these are your main settings that are going to apply to any feed that you have running in this plugin. So for the actual feed itself, what you want to do is go up here and click on Add New Feed. This is going to expand this little area here, and this is where you set up the new feed. So just like I did above, I could call this Coffee News. My URL, this is going to be my feed URL that I found that I was describing to you previously. So I'll put in the full address, HTTP, the whole deal, all the way up the feed. You can choose how many posts that you want to import, and this is just going to be posts that you are importing each time it runs. Since it's going to update once daily, you may not need for it to be importing a ton of posts, but initially you might want to go ahead and allow it to grab 10. That way it can get all of the available posts. 10 is usually the number that are available on a feed. So then the most important part is selecting your category. So I would select Coffee News here. You can choose whether or not to strip the HTML tags. Personally, I like to leave this set to no and take a look at the pages that are getting generated and just make sure they look okay. And as long as everything looks alright, then I can leave it that way. Otherwise, if you have a lot of things that just look completely messed up, that's in a circumstance where you may want to remove the HTML tags. So once you have all this set up, just click on the Save button over here. And your posts then are automatically imported for you. You can do the Save and Import right here, as you can see. Once you have these posts imported, all you have to do is go to this post listing, and you can see them all available for you here. So all of these, from this one all the way up to this one here, these were all automatically created by that one feed that I set up. So I can go and take a look at these pages now on my live website. Now this particular site, as you can see, has pretty long, in-depth articles. So this is a pretty nice amount of content that I'm including on my site, and this is just one of 10 pages that I was able to quickly import. Now, a couple of other things that I wanted to quickly point out here. I have this particular site set up to typically allow for products, Amazon products, to be promoted over here on the left. But this page is just going to be an informational page, so I may not need this information here. And I may not want some of this other information, like maybe I don't want to have me labeled as the author for it. Maybe I don't want to have these links up at the top, because that link also exists down here at the bottom. Here's the little source thing, coffee news, that I was mentioning that can be removed. You're always going to have this here though. It is going to link back to the website and the post where you are retrieving this content from. So that's what makes this legal. You're giving attribution to the site that you're pulling this feed information from. So just to walk you through a couple of things here that you can do to clean up these pages. Number one, if you're using the Weaver 2 admin theme that I typically recommend for people to use, you can go to the post specifics page and remove a number of the things that are on these pages. Let me point a couple of these out to you here. Down at the bottom, if you don't want this bottom information here, that can be removed if you want to remove these bottom links. Also up at the top, you can remove this information or any of this information. So going back to this settings page now, the navigation links, you can see here, hide top links and hide bottom links. I like to leave the bottom ones on and hide the top links. That will get rid of this particular link right here, pointing back to the previous post. You then, a little further down, have some other options here where you can hide the post date. You can hide the post author. I kind of like to hide the post author if I was not actually the author of that page. So certain things like this can be done with a relatively minor amount of effort, and these are going to help to clean up what the page looks like. So let me show you a little update here of how this page has gotten cleaned up. And then I have a couple of other settings that I'm actually going to be adjusting here just to show you how to clean this page up a little bit more. So as you can see now, that link at the top is gone, and I have also removed the reference to my author name. So all I have here is the date for this particular post. Now down at the bottom, I still have a link to a category in the permalink and the bottom link here, but I also no longer have the author link that was down here before. So those parts I'm liking. There are two other things though that I want to point out. Number one, you have this sidebar here. What if you don't want the sidebar showing up on these pages, but you have all these other actual WordPress pages on your site and you do want a sidebar showing up on them? How do you change that? This can be done from the Layout tab under Main Options and Layout in the Weaver 2 admin. You have these different options here where you can decide what is going to be used in terms of no sidebars or single column sidebars on the right. So it's the post single page that I am interested in, and I can go down here and set this to no sidebars, one column content. And I can save this and update, and now when I refresh my page over here, my sidebar should disappear. So now I have the whole page to take up with nothing but this content here. So now we're looking pretty good. There's one last thing though that I would like to point out and also show you how to take care of, and that is the category page. If you have ever followed any of my training on how to build Amazon sites, you know that I'm not a big fan of using the post and category system on WordPress. I will typically just construct a website out of pages, and some of my pages might be category pages that link to other pages on my site. So to give you an example, I have this page here where this page will link up to another page, but this is not a category in a post type of system. It is simply pages that are interlinked together. Well, you have all of these posts getting put into a category. If you go and visit that category page, you can see that this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have home, categories, and then the name of the category here. It's going to say category archives, and then you'll have the name of the category. And then everything else down below is going to simply be a listing of all the posts that are in that category. Now, sometimes this works out okay. However, other times you want this to be a little more customized. Maybe you don't want these bottom category links to be showing up because these just link back to the same page. Maybe you don't want this category archives title up at the top. Or maybe you don't want these breadcrumbs showing up. Whatever the case may be, you really can't edit this page. So what you have to do is mimic a page to replace this default category page. So I want to walk you through how to accomplish that real quick here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Pages, and I'm going to go to Add New. Now I'm not going to do anything complicated here. Just going to leave this pretty basic. So up here at the top, it looks like I already have a page called Coffee News. I'm just going to change this to News, just to leave it kind of simple. And then I'm going to have my custom content for the Coffee News page. So whatever custom content you wanted to put that here. You can customize the rest of your site in terms of giving it search engine and social network listing information. You can even customize it in terms of hiding the extra information like the category archives, like the title and your breadcrumbs and stuff up at the top. All of that is going to be done down here in the Weaver 2 options, changing whether you want a sidebar to show up or not. The really important part, though, is over here, page attributes. What I am looking for is the template, and I want to change this to page with post. And then I'm simply going to go ahead and publish this. Now, once I have this page published, set as a page with post template, then I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom. I'm in this Weaver 2 options section, all the way at the bottom of it. and I'm looking for the settings for the page with post template area here. All I have to do is set these settings now, and I can create my own category page, except it'll be completely customized. So my category is coffee news. Notice I put a hyphen right there for my category name. If you do not know what your category name actually is called, go to your categories page and it will simply tell you. You're looking for the slug right here. So you can see it has a hyphen in it. Whatever this slug is, that's what you want to copy and put in here for the category. Everything else here is going to help you to refine how that page is actually displayed. For example, you can change the order. If you want it to be sorted by title or date, ascending or descending, that can be controlled with the order by and the sort order boxes. You can determine how many posts will actually show up on one page right here with simply entering a number. So I could put in 10, or I could even put in 50. You also have a couple of other options down below. Display post as full post, excerpt, title only, title and featured image. Now you're probably not going to have a featured image for any of these. So a lot of times I will just use the excerpt, or sometimes maybe just do the title only. It just really kind of depends on what you are going for. So you also have a couple of other options at the bottom. Hide top info line and hide bottom info line. These I often find myself using. I want to point out what these are real quick. Over here on the category page, this is your top info line, and this is your bottom info line. And as you can see, you have this throughout all the different listings. So if I did not want to show the date, I hide the top info line. If I don't want to show this extra category link, then I hide the bottom info line. So I'm really more interested in hiding the bottom info line. Once I have done this, I simply update my page yet again. Now this is going to essentially complete my category page. I want to go and show it to you here real quick. So I have coffee news, and this is showing my custom content up here. So this is a customized page. If I don't want to show this breadcrumb at the top, I can simply hide that with hide info bar. So with the actual listings here, as you can see, I still have my excerpt and I still have my title and my date, but I've gotten rid of that extra link down at the bottom that wasn't necessary. So now, if I go into one of these posts, and if I click on one of those category links, whether it is a breadcrumb here, or you can see down at the bottom there is a category link here. It's pointing to category/coffee news. This actually takes me to my old category archives page. So how do I get this page to show up in place of this page? And that is the final thing that I really need to worry about. So what you want to do is open both pages on your browser to make this a little easier on yourself. Then we are going to go and install one more plugin. Go to Plugins, go to Add New, type in Simple 301 Redirects and search for and install this plugin. You can see it right here, Simple 301 Redirects. Install and finally activate the plugin. Once we have this plugin installed, then we're going to go over here to Settings and look for 301 Redirects. Now this is where these pages being open in your browser come in handy to help ensure that you actually can set this up correctly. You have two boxes here. You have a request and you have a destination. What you need to do is take the page that you want to be replaced. So the page that you don't want your public visitors to access anymore. So that's going to be my category archives page. You want to select the address of it, but do not select the actual domain name itself. Select everything after the domain name and then paste it into this request box. So that gives me /category /coffee news /. So the second part for the destination, this is where I want people to end up when we're gonna go to this page. Where do I want them to end up instead? And that would be my new customized coffee page. So I do the same thing yet again here. I select the entire URL, but not the domain name, just what comes after it. And then I'm going to paste this into the destination. So that is going to be /news/ for this particular example. Then I simply save my changes. So now, just to show you how this works, I'm going to go back into one of these posts. I'm going to refresh my page just to make sure that I have the up-to-date version. And then I can do this one of two ways. I can either click on the coffee news up here, or I could click on coffee news down here. And either one of these is going to take me now to my customized coffee news page and not the category archives page. So you can use this to completely customize these pages that are still ultimately completely based off of content from another website. Once again, use this responsibly. Do not try to build your entire website off of this type of content. It's not going to end up helping you. Build a base website. Have a couple of different sections to your website, and just make this coffee news area one of your sections of the website. Make it supporting content. So maybe some of the pages in the coffee news area, maybe they could link up to product pages on your site to help provide some extra search rankings to help funnel some of your traffic along.